In this video, we answer the question of how to edit the contents of a website. For this tutorial, we have created a website using artificial intelligence. As we can see, we can indeed modify images, texts, photo galleries, reviews, everything to our liking. How do we do it? Simply, we need to click on the top left, where we find Edit Page, and we will directly enter the page we want to modify. Otherwise, we just need to enter our environment. By clicking on Login at the top right on Framework 360.dit. If we want to edit the contents of this page, for example, we click on the Visual Builder, and this convenient sidebar will open where we can drag the blocks. Or simply edit all the text we find on the site, for example, as we see by clicking on the text Digital Innovation. A convenient sidebar will open on the left where we can modify by simply adding or changing the text. If we want to change the image below, we need to click on the Design row and then change the image in the background section. As we can see, we can indeed select another image. If we have others, we could also change the gallery simply by always clicking on the pencil icon. And then where it asks if you want to modify the contents, we will click on Go to the Galleries module. As we can see, it will have directly opened the Website Galleries section where we will find all the galleries present on the website. In this case, there is only one. We click on the gallery and here we can change the photos, deleting the ones we don't like. Or by adding new ones, always by clicking on Media Selection. As we can see, in fact, to modify the contents we find on our website, we simply need to access the sidebar under the website section. And we will find all the available sections under Source and Section sambaron.nesasina.mi on our website that contain the contents we want to modify. For example, in the Pages section, we will find all the pages of our website. As we can see, in fact, there's the Home page, the Login, the Client area, the Checkout, the Services page. As we can see, in fact, on the Services page, we will have various photos and texts. If we want to modify it as before, we either click on Edit Page at the top left, or in our environment, we go to the Services page. As we can see, in fact, the same page will be available on our website, and we can modify it directly from the panel. By clicking again, the convenient Visual Builder will open, and we can go on to modify all our content. Next, there is the Global Blocks section. The Global Blocks section is used to contain all the blocks that we want to create and call upon on every page of our site. For example, usually on all websites, how can we see this section at the top? It's called the header, and the section at the bottom is called the footer, the two bands below, because they are called upon on every page. If I, for example, click on Services, we will find the same bar at the top and the same bar at the bottom, but the body of the page will simply change. That is the internal content. So all the blocks that are called upon on multiple pages, or that we want to create just once and call upon on multiple pages, because they suit us well. How are they created the first time? We simply need to create them in global blocks under the website, global blocks. In this case, we find the header, which as we can see is the top bar. This one with the menu. As we can see, in fact, we could modify it. If we want to create another navbar, we can create it within the module, menu here, and then select it from here. Once understood, the logic of Framework 360 is very simple because we always find the same functionalities repeated in every module. For example, the Visual Builder that we can see is exactly the same even for creating emails and newsletters, for instance. So, in this case, the global blocks contain the header and footer. The footer, in fact, as we mentioned, is the lower part of the website, and it will be this with the copyrights, the newsletter, as we can see the entire bottom section that is repeated on other pages. In fact, if I access the blog page, for example, the top part and the header are the same, while the bottom part is always the same. On the other pages with the copyrights, the About Us section, and the newsletter, fundamentally only the internal part will change. Let's move on. We can see. Here we also find the possibility to modify the menus, that is the navbars. In this case, we have Home, Services, Blog, Book Appointment, etc. We will find the navbar that was created by the artificial intelligence while it was creating the site for us. And we could go on to move all our entries. If we want the blog to appear, as we can see, the blog appears before Services. We simply need to transfer it as we just did, and then save it. Once saved, by reloading the page, the blog will appear before Services, so to modify or add pages to our navbar. In the leader, we can simply take them from here and drag them. For example, if I want to add the login, I can add it in the end. By saving, the client login will appear, which will become clickable because the page actually exists. Here it is. If we want to modify the login page, as before, we go to the Pages module and search for client login. We find it here. If we don't find it, on the first page. As we can see, there are other pages with all pages already created by the artificial intelligence of Framework 360, ready to use. Moving on, we can also create forms. For example, what are forms? Forms are contact modules, for example, for quote requests or newsletter subscriptions, like this one where the visitor can leave their data such as name, surname, email, etc. By doing so, in fact, by modifying in the form module, we can modify the newsletter or the contact form. The contact form, of course, will be available on the contact page. Here it is, while the newsletter subscription form is always available below in the footer. If we want to modify it, we can click on it and change our inputs. For example, we can change the type of input for the name if we want to allow entering an email, a phone number, etc. This is the placeholder. Enter your name, what does it suggest to the visitor, what they should do, and so on. Here there will be the text that should appear on the button below, subscribe, in fact, changing it to subscribe. Now this hand with the exclamation point and saving, as we can see, by reloading. The site page will have subscribe now appeared. So every module we find under the website section corresponds to the various contents that are inserted on our site. We can also add checkouts. Checkouts are the modules that allow customers to make payments. In this case, there aren't any because we haven't installed a website that required e-commerce. But if we had asked the artificial intelligence for an e-commerce, it would have also created a checkout for us. If we don't find it, we can always click on Add at the top right and create it as we want, perhaps requesting billing information, shipping details, etc., shipping methods, payment methods, PayPal, etc. As we can see, we could also create sliders. The sliders, these are the images that usually appear at the beginning when you open a website's homepage. In this case, for example, a static image has been inserted by the artificial intelligence. But if we wanted to insert a slider that can, for example, move, scroll from right to left, we can simply click on Add, give a title to our slider, set a height, enable autoplay. We can have the images scroll automatically, even in a loop. We can insert a video, for example. If we put a video here, when the website opens, our video will start automatically. This is what sliders are for. Then we find the galleries. Galleries are basically what we saw before, and as we can see, indeed, the artificial intelligence created a gallery with stock photos that we can always modify. Under website galleries, as we saw before, then there's client resources that allow us to display documents or files within the client area on our website. The pop-ups are basically those boxes that open when we open a website. We can always create them. From here, we click on Add. Usually, they are a bit intrusive, but with the right communication, they are effective. There are all the settings, of course. For our pop-up, we can also create it here, as we see with the convenient visual builder by dragging the blocks. If, for example, we want to put a video in our pop-up, we can search for the video block and drag it. And once we have entered a name for our pop-up, we click on Show Automatically if we want our pop-up with the video to appear when the site opens. In fact, by reloading the page, our pop-up with the video will appear. As we can see, the visitor will be able to watch it and can close it with the X in the top right corner. We could, of course, modify all the appearance settings. We can add an overlay, set a maximum width, choose the pop-up effect, and so on. Here, we could instead modify the reviews if we have chosen to create reviews or import them from Google My Business properties thanks to artificial intelligence. When it has asked us, we can always modify our reviews directly. Under Website, Reviews, as we can see. In fact, there is excellent experience, maximum satisfaction, etc. And these are exactly the reviews we find here. Next, we will find the section to modify files or media. The media are simply the images that we upload to our site, and we can always manage them from this section. We could upload new ones or drag them, or even insert external image links that we might find on Google. Then there will be the module for translations. By doing so, we can translate our entire website in all the languages of the world. In fact, here we could decide which pages to translate. And thanks to artificial intelligence, by clicking on the translation path, we could translate the entire website into all languages, for example, English, French, German, etc. Finally, we would have the redirect module, which allows, for example, when we transfer a site, to make a redirect from the old page to the new page on our Framework 360 site. This is essential indeed to not lose SEO rankings when transferring a website from, for example, an external platform like WordPress or Joomla, etc. At Framework 360, we need to use the redirect module, click on Add, and enter the old link. As we can see, in fact, this would be the link from the old page to the link of the new page, for example. By doing so, when someone on Google clicks on the old page on our old website, they will be automatically redirected to the new page with a new URL. However, if the URLs remain the same, we can safely skip this operation. Lastly, we have the A/B test module, which is very interesting because it shows the statistics of the A/B test we conduct on our site. For example, for those in marketing, they might want to test whether the term digital innovation works better or worse than another term like custom web solutions automatically. Framework 360 will change one phrase or the other for each visitor. And the results of the report will appear directly under the A/B test website. In short, to completely modify the contents of our website in an extremely personalized way, we can go into our back office, click on the website, and here we will find, as we mentioned, all the modules to modify any content